Guess what, guys? There's a takeover in about a week and a half. And yes, NXT are completely pulling it out of their ass. But you know what? Look at the card. I really don't give a shit. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT review for September 23rd, 2020. How's it going? We're still all locked down in the bullshit. How you doing is pretty much irrelevant at this point. But I'm going to ask you anyway. Put it down in the box below. How are you doing? Put it in the chat over there. How you doing? I'm doing okay, because Raw was ridiculous. NXT is literally giving us a gold, pun intended, pay-per-view pulled out of their asses, and it's awesome. We're going to talk about it all through the show tonight. But before we do that, we're going to do the house cleaning as we always do. Go back to my last video. NXT UK is back, so I decided to give that a look. I got it over the weekend, and it went up. When did it go up? It went up Monday, didn't it? Which is weird. You don't usually get videos from me on a Monday, do you? But it's pretty good. It's pretty polished. The BT Sport studio that they're using, if that's going to be their version of Full Sail for a while, it looks pretty damn good. The presentation is really polished. They have no crowd. They're at day one like NXT was 6 months ago, so that's a bit of a bummer. But it was really a good reset show to remind you where we all were. And I will say, I will recommend to you, for what it's worth, tomorrow, or today actually, as you're watching this, there's going to be a NXT UK Women's Championship match between LeRAE and Piper Niven. I'm predicting that that's going to be awesome. I'll be reviewing it at some point. Now, if you didn't catch that video, here's the deal. You guys know NXT happens on a Wednesday, you get my review on a Thursday. Now, NXT UK happens on a Thursday, and here's what we're going to do with that. If I catch NXT UK on the night, which isn't always going to happen, it will go up on Friday before SmackDown. If I catch it sometime over the weekend, because, you know, life gets in the way, all that sort of thing, it will go up Monday before Raw. Also this weekend, I'm hoping to get back together with Kristen. We are hoping to start the Joker trilogy on the FlixFix side of things. It's going to be really good. If you are listening to me for the first time, the first time my voice has ever been in your eardrums, find me on YouTube at Spaz Phoenix. If you're watching me right now with a super sexy face and the gimmick hat, you want to find me in an audio platform instead because you don't think it's a pretty sexy face and you don't think the gimmick hat is great, find me Spaz Phoenix Podcast on all your local podcasting platforms. I'm still having problems with Twitter. It's being really weird. I'm keeping both my Twitter accounts open for now, at Spaz Phoenix or at Spaz Phoenix with a 1 on the end. Spaz Phoenix is me on Instagram. Find the Spaz Phoenix podcast group on Facebook, and it's all good. Now, what did we know? What did we know going into tonight? We knew we were getting the Women's Battle Royal. We knew we were getting the Gauntlet Eliminator, which, oh my god, it's so stupid. It's like TNA back in the day. It's like the reverse Battle Royal. No, it's not. It's a 5-man Royal Rumble with pinfalls instead of being tossed over the top rope. Or, as somebody else suggested to me on social media, it's an Elimination Chamber without the cage. I mean, granted, if they could have done an Elimination Chamber in a small venue like Full Sail, they probably would have. But it's not, it's all elements of things we already know. Nothing is new here. We're not reinventing the wheel, and we're not doing a reverse battle royal or reverse. Remember the thing in TNA when you had to get a pinfall first, and then you had to go and get the belt and hang it to be the champion. It's not nearly that bad, and it's good. And the 5 guys that are in that match, you knew we were going to get a brand new person in the world title picture on NXT, regardless of who won, because it was Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, Timothy Thatcher, Kyle O'Reilly, and I'm forgetting who the 4th person. Oh, and Kushida. So, if nothing else, if you can't say anything else nice about the main event that we got tonight, the very least, on this thrown together takeover that we're getting in a week and a half, and let me tell you, I do not care. This show is going to be good. This show is going to be good. The matches that they're lining up are going to be really good. We're going to talk about the card at the end. But at the very, very least, where NXT gets accused of being repetitive and doing the same thing over and over again and being formulaic and etc., at the very least you're getting a brand new person in the world title picture, and that person, even if they don't win, is getting the rub of being in a main event with Finn fucking Balor. And that's nothing to sneeze at. I'm just putting that out there. I'm really, really high on this show. I'm not gonna lie. I'm high on this show in a way that I haven't been in a while, in the sense that I love some ridiculous stuff. I said to our good friend Jake DeMarco, my NXT TakeOver preview guy, I think I sort of morbidly like Retribution. I am part of the problem. Put it down in the comments, put it in the chat. I'm fully willing to admit I am part of the problem. I like Retribution. I like Shotzi Blackheart's tank. I don't go as far as liking grown men swimming in orange juice, but in the WWE context, I guess I'm part of the problem, and I'm okay with that. I am looking forward to a takeover in about 10 days that's going to be awesome. It just hasn't been built up for 10 months. That's fine. You'll live, or you won't watch the show. It's fine. But we're getting a brand new person in that title picture. We're getting a #1 contender in our opening match, which is the Women's Battle Royal. Now, I will say, what there was tonight, I don't know whether it was timing issues or whatever, there was a lot of people getting the jobber entrance, people coming back from commercial break or whatever, and having stuff already going on in the ring. Actually, I'm an idiot. I need to mention one other thing before we went. One other thing we knew before going into this show, as I reverse and rewind and go back to my notes because I can't read my writing. You guys know this. This is not news. It was announced on social media today, I think, that one of the matches we're getting at this takeover is Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest for Damian Priest's North American Championship. Now, I look at the positives of this. A, Gargano's going to put him over. So, brand new champion is going to be solidified by one of the Mount Rushmore of NXT. B, it's going to be a great match. C, it feeds into the long-standing story that Gargano and Candice LeRAE want to be Mr. and Mrs. Champion in NXT. Now, the downside of that is, oh my god, they just threw a match together with no history, no rhyme, no reason. Like, what the hell did Gargano do to get a title shot? Which was a hill I was willing to die on until I looked on Twitter and saw that on the other side of the coin, you're giving away an AEW World Championship match to Eddie Kingston for reasons on a Wednesday. Now, I want to clarify. Apparently Lance Archer has the Rona, and that's not cool. In all genuine sincerity, I hope he's okay. I hope his family and everybody around him is fine. And they had to cancel their 6-man that was planned for this week, which I was looking forward to checking out after I'm done talking here. Absolutely terrible that is even a possibility for any of their talents. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, even if they're working for the wrong company. But you could have had his partners take on Moxley's partners, and Moxley could have sat out. You could have had, what's his name, Big Hobgoblin there, and Darby Allin. I like Darby Allin, and you could have had them take on Ricky Starks, who already has an existing history with Darby Allin, and the big man Brian Cage. Big Brian Cage and Big Hobgoblin could have had their big man moments, and Starks and Darby Allin could have carried the match. It could have been fine, but no. You wanna do the stunt booking that my guys on NXT are accused of doing all the time. But that's fine. It's like social things, it's like political things. We don't call it out if the right people are doing it. Am I right? Anyways, all due sincerity, I do hope that Lance Archer is okay. I do hope that we get on Dynamite that 6-man, because that 6-man did look awesome, and I'm sure whatever Kingston and Ambrose did tonight was great, and I am going to check that out later on. But since we're in the more serious side of things, I put it up at the beginning, did the bell gimmick and all that sort of thing. Have to mention the passing of Road Warrior Animal, following on the heels a couple years ago of the passing of Hawk. And like I normally say when somebody passes away, I'm not very good at articulating, taking somebody's whole career in a scope and all that kind of thing. I do encourage you to check out guys like Joe Cronin and guys like Good Mike Work. Good Mike Work is awesome with that shit. He is like the YWC's encyclopedia. He'll be able to say something way more proper than I mean, what can you say about the Legion of Doom or Animal specifically or Hawk specifically that hasn't already been said? They set the template for the big badass monster tag team. And we lost Hawk a couple years ago, and we lost Animal apparently today. And what can you say other than it sucks? I mean, Kristen and I tried to address the Chadwick Boseman passing away when we did our last Flix Fix thing, and you try to say something intelligible, you try to say something that feels like a fitting tribute or whatever, but deep down I think what everybody really wants to say is, well, that really sucks. So here I am saying, well, that really sucks, and telling you to check out other people that will have much more to say about it than I will, and that's really all I've got. So I've done the thing. I've plugged my UK videos. I've plugged all my social stuff. I've done all the things that you're supposed to do as a social media guy. Now let's actually get into the content. 10 minutes into the video, the Women's Battle Royal started us off. And in the back we see Candice LeRAE, we see video footage of moments before when Candice LeRAE took out Tegan Knox with a pipe, because Tegan Knox, if you guys didn't know, has a problem with her knee. And the one thing she does, she can't cut a promo to save her life. I mean, I love her, but she can't cut a promo to save her life. She proved that last week. But what we do know that she can do is sell her knee. So we did the whole lead pipe thing to the knee. It's fine. There's references to real sport situations in there that I don't even want to touch. And then they did the whole, I'm off screen, I'm done, I've done my damage. And then she rolls back in with the equipment cart. It's fine. Suffice it to say, Tegan Knox is not in this match. The ring is full, though. This is the thing, and I'm sorry, my sinuses are fucked, so if I sound weird, I'm going to apologize for that right off the bat. They filled out this thing. They put in a bunch of women from the PC to fill out the thing, so that they didn't just have the 11 women that are on the graphic. So it did fill it out. It added the bodies, so to speak, which is fine. The last person down to the ring is Rhea Ripley, and there's this cool moment, and you see this a lot in the Royal Rumble, when somebody comes down to the Rumble that's such a threat, everybody else that's already in the match, that's already been fighting, because it's a Rumble, they sort of stop and wait for that person to come to the ring. Well, they kind of did the same thing here when Ripley entered the ring, and she sort of looked around, and the entire field was looking at her. That's a really good way to put her over. But the story of this match for a long time was Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez just tossing nameless people that commentary tried to give names to. It's fine. Ripley tossed out somebody named Gia after a double choke slam and a headbutt. Raquel eliminated somebody named Raven. Ripley takes out somebody named Ellie. Ripley takes out Marina Shafir. Where's she been other than on Raw Underground? Raw Underground, we don't need to talk about it. It's fine. After a headbutt and a slingshot maneuver. Raquel takes out Avery. Okay, and then some other unnamed person, and then somebody named Rita. A big boot off the ring by Ripley on Emily, so kudos and cheers to Emily. One of these women, I don't remember which one it was, took a pretty bad shot because they fell sort of flat forward as they were coming down, and I think they ate shit on one of the guardrails, which is kind of terrifying. Raquel takes out some masked woman, luchadora. I don't know whether it's the same luchadora that they had in the last Mae Young Classic. I really don't. Somebody in the box below can tell me if you want to. Aaliyah knocks out Casey Catanzaro, but she basically goes turtle and lands on her back so that nothing, both feet have to touch the floor, and she's acrobatic as fuck. So she basically pushes herself upside down, hooks her heels on the ring ropes, and basically does a sit-up back into the ring. She's Kofi Kingston, but a little bit better. She's John Morrison, to be fair, but a little bit better. This was a really cool spot. We go to the commercial break, and I didn't really pay attention much during the commercial break, other than somebody took out Aaliyah, and I think they threw Aaliyah at Robert Stone, so I'm assuming it was Rhea Ripley. Catanzaro gets tossed out again, and she lands on the rail. And this is where I think it's kind of cool that they've sort of adapted to the way things are now with Corona, etc., and having the plexi, because she's sort of got her hands on the plexi and she's walking along the rail, and she tries to hop from there to the stairs, and somebody tries to kick her off again, and she's standing on the rail, and Caden Carter, who's her partner, is standing on the apron trying to reach her, trying to pull her back, but they're both pretty short, the reach isn't there, whatever. And then I have to where are my notes? Raquel takes out Carter, so she's out of the match. So what does she do? She helps her friend. She puts her friend on her shoulders and walks her back into the ring. That was a cool spot. It shows their unity as a tag team, which is going to go on to them, hopefully, eventually, getting those tag team titles, bringing them to NXT, saving that title like they saved the Cruiserweight Championship. We don't need to talk about it. We've been there before. Catanzaro head scissors Indy Hartwell out of the ring. Candice, my writing is terrible. Candice, Catanzaro, Shotzi and Dakota are the last ones in the ring. Kai takes out Catanzaro. Shotzi takes out Kai. There's a boot by Shotzi and Insiguri as she and LeRAE are the last ones. And neckbreaker by LeRAE. They both fight on the steps, but eventually from her back, and I gotta say this was kind of a cool spot because you see people fight on the apron a lot. You do a lot of the big stunt spots like Catanzaro did before. You don't see many people fight on the steps, and that's what they did here. And basically Candice, from her back, managed to monkey flip Shotzi Blackheart to the floor. Now, the way, and I haven't done it justice at all because it's a battle royal and it's really hard to encapsulate everything that happens in a battle royal. But I will say, especially when it got down to, you know, we always narrow it down when we've reached our final four, which is why I wrote Candice and Catanzaro and Shotzi and Dakota. She had a really good, like, fire spot from, like, that final four onward. Very, very similar feel to it. Obviously, it's not the same kind of match. Very similar kind of feel to the intensity of the match that she had with Io Shirai. I really wanted her to win. When she didn't, I was heartbroken. But I was heartbroken in the right way because Candice LeRae is such a fucking bitch, and Shotzi Blackheart is somebody that I'm really behind. If you guys have been living under a rock, you know, check off the Spaz Phoenix bingo card. I've been watching her since I saw her at Destiny. It's fine. But, like, so I was disappointed, but I was disappointed in the right way. I was disappointed in a way that shows you how invested I am in Shotzi Blackheart. Not necessarily disappointed because Candice LeRae is a bad option. I was in the crowd, I was in the stands, I was in the arena at TakeOver Toronto 2, I think, when Candice LeRae was still the Snow White babyface and Io Shirai was the evil sadistic heel. So now to see them run back this match with the roles reversed is going to be fucking fantastic. If they had put Shotzi Blackheart in, because my biases are there, I should say at some point in the match as well, because I've totally skipped over it, that Ripley and Raquel finally did brawl with each other, and I think they brawled each other out of the match. So, if they throw a bonus match on this card that's just Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley in some ridiculous brawl, no holds barred match, whatever, I'm really, really okay with that. But getting back to the point, if Shotzi Blackheart had won here, I would have been happy for her. I would have been happy for her to get the pay-per-view spot, the pay-per-view spotlight, etc., like similar to how I said at In Your House. But I would not believe at this period in time, not because of her, but because of the way they're booking the show, that there's any chance that she was going to win. I don't know who's winning this women's championship match. I can't wait to find out. And when we see what we're getting next week, let alone on the pay-per-view, it's going to get really interesting. Damian Priest hypes up his title defense with Johnny Gargano at TakeOver, and the fact that he's going to take on Austin Theory tonight, which I'm sure pisses off a lot of people, but that's fine. And then he invites Sarah Shriver to come to his after party like a fucking boss, and I laughed a lot. A lot. Just make sure when you're on the tour bus, nobody's recording your conversation and you don't tell them what you've been grabbing. Then you stay out of trouble and it's fine. Also, don't run for president. Moving on. Fandango is in the back with certain members of certain teams, and he's put together the Breezango tag team #1 contenders algorithm, and they're all yelling about it, they're all shouting about it, and William Regal's upset that he's dressed up like Sherlock and tells him to make sure he doesn't do any British accents, which is fine, but he explains his theory. He says, I'm gonna take one member from each team, I'm gonna put them into random teams, whatever team wins that tag team match. I'm not explaining this very well at all. Basically, he took a member of this team and a member of this team and made them a team, took a member of this team, took a member of this team, and made them a team. And then he says, whatever team of oddballs wins that match, those two respective tag teams will fight each other, and then we'll have a #1 contender for next week's, or for 10 days from now at TakeOver, which I thought it's really, really convoluted, and it's really, really kind of ridiculous, but to portray it as an idea that came from Breezango sort of pulls back from that a little bit. Breezango are ridiculous. They got famous for doing the fucking fashion files. It works. Again, if you can get invested in roadmen swimming in orange water pretending to be orange juice, then you can get in with this. And it's not the worst thing in the world either. Do you remember back in the day when the Authority first took over and they made like Edge and Jeff Hardy face Christian and Matt Hardy just to fuck with them? But this, and we're going to get it when we talk about it in a second, it's going to be Danny Burch representing his tag team and Roderick Strong representing the Undisputed Era, our one team. Fabian Eichner representing Imperium, even though I thought they were going back over to the UK, but apparently they're not. Teaming up with Raul Mendoza from Legado del Fantasma. So whichever team wins, those two teams that they represent have to face each other. It makes sense. When you get there, don't worry about it. It does make sense. Ciampa versus Atlas. Kind of made me a bit of a liar. I thought that Ciampa was going to straight up murder Jake Atlas after last week because Ciampa is a badass and Ciampa just came out of another main event world title situation. And Jake Atlas is, for everything else you can say about him, I know everybody likes the cartwheel DDT and all that sort of thing. He's new as fuck. So either he was going to die or he was going to get like a fluke roll-up win and Ciampa was going to kill him afterwards. Neither one of those really happened. We got a collar and elbow tie up, some chops by Atlas, a trip and a body shot. Atlas attempts the bottom rope thing that the thing that Ciampa did to him a couple weeks ago where he tried to like slingshot him up into the rigging. Referees yelling at him, says, obviously I'm going to have to disqualify you if you do that. Clothesline by Ciampa and a seated rear chin lock, rolling elbows by Atlas, an atomic drop and a drop kick, mounted punches by Atlas, a corner pump kick and a boot, moonsault to the floor by Atlas and a top rope blockbuster, boot off the top rope by Ciampa, Willow's bell, and then he pulls up from the pin and he just goes on this little diatribe for a second. He's like, I could pin you right now. And he pulls him up and he says, you know, this is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted. You want to eat at the champ's table. Gets him up, hits the fairy tale ending, but it's sort of a modified neckbreaker version of the fairy tale ending. Because the fairy tale ending is basically sort of like an elevated pedigree. He sort of like gets him up for the fairy tale ending and then sort of like flips him as he drops him. Anyways, Ciampa gets the obvious win. Jake Atlas, to his own credit and to Ciampa's credit, obviously, because Ciampa was really generous in this match and made Jake Atlas look like $1 million. And I have to clarify when I say shit like that. I'm not saying that Jake Atlas isn't talented as fuck and can't get himself over. But when you have somebody like Ciampa, especially a character like Ciampa as established as he is in NXT right now, to get in as much on that character as he did in this match is generous, because Ciampa has to make him look good, make his good shit look good, if that makes sense. We get a video package on Ridge Holland, and I'm not gonna lie, not everything that NXT does is gold. Obviously, I'm not that biased. Hi to you people on the other side of the line. I couldn't give a single shit about Ridge Holland. It is what it is. Now, back to this weird tag team situation. Danny Burch and Roderick Strong taking on Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza. Strong and Fabian start the match with the collar and elbow tie. There's a lariat by Fabian, a snapmare by Mendoza, a corner tackle by Strong, and Burch works the arm. Seated headlock followed by a trip as we go into the commercial break. We come back from the commercial break. There's a head and arm lock by Fabian and a backdrop driver. Mudhole by Mendoza, a cobra clutch and some boots by Fabian. Drop kicks for all by Strong as he gets in off the hot tag. Angle slam, cheap shot by Mendoza, spine buster by Fabian, a drop kick by Mendoza, an enziguri, and a high knee by Strong. Top rope RKO thing out of the last sort of brawling minute of this match by Burch gets the win for Burch and Strong. Now, I don't want to say that the match fell flat, but it was every good match has that oh my god and everybody filled the ring moment, and just yeah, Danny Burch doesn't do an RKO. I mean, he has this modified neckbreaker thing that I've seen him do in NXT UK. I think it's called the Tower of London. I'm not sure. It's maybe I'm just being really cliche there. But it wasn't quite like this. This was more along the lines of like a Randy Orton elevated RKO, just happened to be from the top rope and not, or sorry, from the top turnbuckle instead of from the middle rope. So I don't want to say it was a letdown finish because again, it is two oddball teams and you never know what you're going to get. but it did fall a little bit flat. I know I just said I don't want to say that it fell flat, but it kind of did. And I like everybody involved. I'm sort of losing my interest in Imperium, because just the two of them representing the four of them when the other two are over in the UK. And what's his name? Alexander Wolf is going to fight Ilya Dragunov eventually, and Ilya Dragunov eventually is getting a championship match against Walter. If you're worried or wondering at all about what's going on in the UK, Ilya Dragunov, the guy that got to go to a takeover and face Cesaro, and then got to go to another takeover and face Finn Balor. So obviously, you know, they see something in him. And I saw a little bit of a 10-minute documentary on him, gave me a little bit more insight into him, but I still think he's going to get absolutely clobbered by Walter when that match happens. But I thought the Imperium guys were going back over to NXT UK, and that's apparently not the case. I mean, they didn't win tonight. Danny Burch and Roderick Strong got the win, which means next week we're going to see Burch and Lorcan take on Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish of the Undisputed Era, and the winner of that match will go on to take over for our Tag Team Championship match. Now, I don't know what to do here, because I really, really wanted Legado del Fantasma, the Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, to get that title shot. Not because I think they're going to win, but because I think they'd have the best match with Breezango. The matching of the styles, the matching of the attitudes, the seriousness of Legado del Fantasma trying to bring the lucha heritage and all that sort of thing into NXT versus Breezango, who just like to have a good time. And we've seen them against Imperium before a bunch of times, and it failed to be interesting. They had a match against, I'm sure they've had a match against Undisputed Era at some point, and Burch and Lorcan, I like Burch and Lorcan, and I've said this for the longest time. I think Burch and Lorcan are one of those few examples of guys that actually might ring a bit better on the main roster. I don't know where they fit, because obviously the people running NXT have never seen fit to put belts on them, but we would have said the same thing about Breezango. But now if they put the title belts on them, it's just, okay, you got two unpredictable champions back to back, and who knows what they're doing. I will admit that I'm trying to pull something out of nothing here. I will admit that WWE as a whole, including NXT, really needs to work on their tag team stuff. NXT UK, one of the other things they pushed, I should say this, and it's something I'm going to try and keep an eye on going forward in my reviews. Apparently they are trying really hard with their tag division. They brought out like 7 or 8 tag teams to surround the ring, because Gallus are the current champions and all that sort of thing. So apparently NXT UK, which hardly anybody is watching, is going to be the brand that puts a big focus on tag team wrestling, which is cool. I'll be honest. For as much of the piss as I take out of AEW, because their women's division sucks. Their women's division sucks so much they had to borrow a champion from another company. But you could say just the same amount about WWE's tag team situation, and that does include NXT. So I am looking for something in here that may or may not be there. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with the Undisputed Era. They seem to be wildly off in all directions. So if they're not going to make them champions again, there's a couple of really good guys that could make Breezango look awesome. I'm happy with Breezango as the tag team champions, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't want them to lose the belts. I don't really care who they face in the immediate time. I don't want them to lose the belts, because them having the belts. Go back to the episode of NXT where they won the belts. They won the belts as a way to bring the show back up after we got the news about Karrion Kross and his injuries. So that was a really feel-good moment as far as the brand. Like, the brand needed to be cheered up. Also, people that have been following Breezango for a long time, or Tyler Breeze and Fandango individually, have always said, like, these guys are really fucking good, don't make them Zigglers. And so it's one of those things where you follow certain talents, and when they win, you win. And that sounds cheesy as fuck, but I don't care. Them holding those tag team title belts, at least for now, is a feel-good thing for NXT, and I hope they don't squander that. I have rambled way too much about a tag team division that doesn't really exist. Gargano finds Austin Theory in the back and hypes him up for his match against Priest, and basically says, hey, you know, I got a match with him on in 2 weeks, basically. If you soften him up for me, I won't forget it. Slimy. Johnny Gargano is fucking awesome. Austin Theory versus Damian Priest, and there's a lot to be said about Austin Theory and Roddy Rah, and whatever you think about that is valid. I will do another video, or maybe I'll do a topical video with Jake at some point. I do think the Austin Theory stuff needs to be addressed. I think there is a drastic divide between the Austin Theory situation and the Velveteen Dream situation. And if you want me to break that down at a later date, I will. I'm not giving Austin Theory a free pass by any stretch of the imagination, and it's not because of what some of you assholes out there might think is the difference, but there is a difference, and it's awkward to watch Austin Theory in a match right now when things aren't being addressed or whatever, but it's not awkward and it doesn't hit the same way as the Velveteen Dream thing. I'm sorry, it just doesn't for me. However it's one of those things where I gotta bring the rhetoric down a little bit. However you feel about the particular situation, everybody's opinions on shit like this are valid. I won't judge you for yours, don't judge me for mine, and Velveteen Dream can still fuck off. Anyways, Austin Theory and Damian Priest. Did you really think Austin Theory was going to win this? I mean, Damian Priest has a title defense coming up in 10 days. Collar and elbow tie up, and Priest works the arm. Theory works the wrist. Sort of a modified anything you can do, I can do better. Takedown by Priest. Side headlock and a back elbow by Theory. Back elbow by Priest, because literally anything you can do, I can do better. Walks the top rope into a crossbody, and that was a cool fucking move. Drop toe hold into the second turnbuckle by Theory. Theory stomps on the legs and hits a back body drop. Bell clap by Priest and a ripcord flatliner before he gets tossed out by Theory. And we, as an audience, get tossed out to a commercial break. See what I did there? We come back, there's a slingshot rolling dropkick by Theory and a head and arm lock. Both men trade some shots. There's a roaring lariat by Priest, a broken arrow by Priest, a blue thunder bomb by Theory, which was really nice if you consider the size difference. Okay. Personal issues about Austin Theory aside, the guy's awesome in the ring. They haven't found anything really for him to do yet, but he is awesome to watch in the ring. I would love something as simple. You got two guys you really need to push right now. I would love this to branch off into a Atlas versus Theory feud and let them, I think they're both under the weight limit, get them involved in the cruiserweight situation. Atlas definitely is involved in the cruiserweight situation. He was involved in the interim tournament thing, and it is the interim title, because if you've been following social media recently, my boy Jordan Devlin, yes, I get it, it's fine, but he's apparently coming back and he's putting all kinds of things on social media. There's only one real cruiserweight champion, and it's him holding up the belt, so he's still got the belt, so that's going to be interesting somewhere along the way. Eventually, because he's an awesome heel and I never want them to turn him face, put the current interim title on a babyface like Jake Atlas, and then have Devlin come back and smoke him. These are the things I want in life. Broken arrow by Priest and a blue thunderbomb by Theory, which we just talked about. Cyclone kick and a razor's edge on the apron edge by Priest. Gets him back in the ring, hits the Reckoning, and he gets the win. Now, staging is everything, and appearance is everything, and this is where they did something really cool. Priest has an entrance that involves the lights going down, involves him being in a spotlight, so it's very easy to do a sneak attack. And the way Johnny Gargano literally flowed into his spotlight in one fluid motion with a super kick to set the scene for their match in 10 days was fucking brilliant. Go watch it. It's like, if you go back and watch it, it's like 5 seconds of footage. It's him doing his like Archer thing. I don't know why I'm moving my hands for those of you listening in audio. I'm sorry. But it's him doing his like Archer of Infamy thing where he metaphorically lights the sign on fire, etc. And Gargano just slides into the spotlight, smooth as fucking melted butter, hits the super kick and fucks off. Great, wonderful. We get a weird promo, and I almost thought we had gone to commercial break because it was like a night vision thing, and it was like sort of video game graphics and whatever, so I thought they were advertising the new Battleground game that they've got coming up, but they don't. And it is definitely a backstage, computer digital backstage area. And it's somebody talking about how all the NXT titles have been held hostage for so long, or they've been lost for so long, or something along those lines. And it's just one of those, coming soon type things. And the coming soon is happening at 4/10/20, which is the date of TakeOver. So somebody is coming. I don't know who. I've got the fear a little bit. Because if this is going to be the first attack on NXT from Retribution, I'm gonna shit a brick in my hat and wear it on camera for you guys. 'Cause no. I morbidly love Retribution because it's fucking up a show that's already fucked up. Stay away. It's like the Thunderdome. Take your weirdness and do it on Raw. Keep it away from my thing. Send Retribution to Dynamite and see how that goes. Oh yeah, apparently Cody Rhodes is already back. He dyed his hair. Get excited. Anyways, we have a promo from Isaiah Swerve Scott calling out Santos Escobar, talking about how he's now pinned him twice and he needs that title shot. You know, leave your boys in the back, leave your gimmicked up mask in the back. I really hope they play that up a little bit more, because the gimmick mask thing with the... I don't know why I'm pointing at my head. Again, for those of you listening on audio, I'm sorry. But the thing they did a few weeks ago where he gimmicked the mask and he put a little something in there, that's really good. I really like it. Ridge Holland squashed a guy, and like I say, I don't care. Ridge Holland can... I don't even know. Backstage, we're interviewing Io Shirai about what she thinks about her contender Candice LeRaE. She says she doesn't like Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano, you know, start coming at her, teasing her, asking her if she's afraid. Johnny Gargano being the cheerleader for Candice LeRae, which is always amazingly obnoxious. And before he can get very far, he's confronted by Damian Priest for the cheap shot that we just had with the thing in the spotlight, and it's wonderful and it's great. So Io Shirai's talking shit, Candice is talking shit, Johnny's talking shit, and the interviewer just fucks off, and there we go. We get the announcement that next week we are getting Shotzi Blackheart versus Dakota Kai, which does my heart good, but also breaks my heart a whole bunch. You guys know I've been singing the praises of Dakota Kai for a long time, but my biases, but my destiny biases, it's gonna be a great match. Again, it's one of those, like, I know it's not a title match, but that could be a takeover match. That could be like an extra. Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox had a random match that had nothing to do with titles at Portland, and it was one of the better matches of the night. Definitely do the same thing with Shotzi, especially coming off the back of her performance in tonight's Battle Royal and her performance against Io Shirai last week. Market it as the next #1 contender match. It's perfectly fine. Or market it as, you know, the winner of this match gets to join that and it becomes a triple threat. You could do a lot. And no, I'm not just trying to find a way to wedge Shotzi Blackheart into the match. Put Dakota Kai in there. Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai would be fucking awesome. I mean, I'm looking forward to the one-on-one match, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Io Shirai and Candice LeRae are not enough on their own. People, okay, I gotta say something for a second. I know there's a big conversation about, and this is not even NXT, so I'm just gonna go on a soapbox for a second, right? The best thing happening in WWE right now is their women's division. I don't care what you say. I don't care how lame it is. I don't care how dumb it is that Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are a tag team right now. It does work in a weird way. Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan and Zelina Vega all being brand new fixtures in women's title pay-per-view scenarios, all coming up this Sunday, is awesome. Do I think any of them are going to win? No. I absolutely do not think any of them are going to win, because Bayley's going to retain because she's attached to Sasha Banks, and nobody attached to Sasha Banks can lose anything ever. Realistically speaking, the new set of champions might be the tag team champions, and then I'll be the Riot Squad, and that'll be fine. The Iconics aren't a thing anymore. But they finally broke Zelina Vega away from Andrade and Angel Garza, and she's going to wrestle, and that's fine. I've been waiting for Zelina Vega to wrestle on the main roster since I saw her in the match that I've talked about a bunch of times with Piper Niven at the Worlds Collide specials a couple years ago. She's not the best in the world. It's one of those things. I love her as a character. I will watch her wrestle because I love her as a character. She's proven that in her managerial role. But they announced that she was going to face Asuka at the pay-per-view. And this is going to be a squash. She's going to get destroyed. It's fine. She has a week and a half of build going into this pay-per-view. There's nothing going on. And people are upset. Oh my god, look at all the disrespect to Asuka because they put her on the kickoff. Literally every championship, with the exception of the world titles, has been defended on a kickoff. Both tag team titles have been defended on the kickoff. The Cruiserweight Championship, before NXT saved it, lived on the pre-show. The IC title has been defended on the pre-show. The US title, even though it's got a bunch of black Sharpie all over it now, we don't need to talk about it, has been defended on the pre-show. So all you people out there that are faux outraged for Asuka, the reason it's on the pre-show is because her contender is Zelina Vega, and Zelina Vega having a world title match isn't a thing. I think they threw her in there because it's Clash of Champions and every title needs to be defended. I wouldn't bet that it's going to be any more than like a 1 or 2 minute squash. This is not a slight on Asuka. If anything, it's a slight on Zelina Vega, which moderately makes sense because Zelina Vega's in the storyline of Monday Night Raw. Zelina Vega has been a singles wrestler for about 2 weeks. It's not that bad. You just take a Klonopin, you'll be fine. It's okay. It's fine. You know me. I'm a big advocate for the big women's matches getting the spotlight that they deserve. If it's a good enough match, let it main event the pay-per-view. When women's matches have main evented TakeOver, I've been a huge advocate. This one, it's not the hill to die on, is what I'm going to say. And I know I've spun off into a big thing that has nothing to do with NXT, but god fucking damn it. You guys know, I talk probably more, I spend more of my time in these reviews, more of my time in conversation when we're talking about AEW with Guapo, when we're talking about NXT with Jake, the every now and then that I mention the main roster like I'm doing right now. I probably spend more time talking about the women's division than anything else. NXT's because it's awesome, AEW's because it doesn't exist, and the main roster falls somewhere in the middle. So I'm with you when I say, like, these matches need to get the respect that they deserve when they deserve them. But this is going to be a squash. It's going to be between video packages on the kickoff because I don't think it's going to be anything. And that's not a slight on Zelina Vega. That's not a slight on Asuka. But I'm telling you right now, for those of you out there, like me, that are paying so much attention right now to the WWE, NXT, and yes, sometimes AEW women's divisions, I'm with you. But this isn't the hill to die on. I'm just telling you that. You need to calm down. Switch to decaf. Go out to the drugstore and get yourself some Sleepies or something like that. It will be fine. You're fine. Try not to be all triggly puff. This ain't the hill to die on. It's fine. Moving on. You know what else is fine? You know what else is actually more than fine? The Gauntlet Eliminator. Now this concept, when they announced it, like I said before, it's a little bit of Elimination Chamber, it's a little bit of mini Royal Rumble. It was okay. Like I said to anybody that asked me, because a lot of people that watch AEW know that I'm watching NXT, and they say, "Well, how's it going?" I was like, "It's fine. It's good. It's as good as the people in it are, if that makes sense." It's not going to set the world on fire. Anything with timed intervals is not ideal for week-to-week television with commercial breaks, etc. So that was working against it. This wasn't terrible. If this was a match concept that they used on a TakeOver, I wouldn't mind it at all. Like, at all. But, anyway, so you guys know the drill. There's 5 guys. 2 of them are going to start every 4 minutes. Somebody else comes in. Pin, submission, or surrender, I think, were the ways to eliminate people. Last person standing gets a shot at Finn Balor at TakeOver. It's, like I say, I'm stuttering here. I cannot believe how off the rails some people went when this was announced, because it's not that different from a couple of other things we already have. O'Reilly and Kushida start off, so obviously there's a long bit of chain wrestling to start. Body scissors by Strong, cross arm breaker by Kushida, a grounded front face lock and a side headlock by O'Reilly, shoulder tackle and a boot. Double arm breaker by Kushida, wrist lock takedown. Both men trade some stiff forearms before we get the buzzer. Next entrant into the match, Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is a wrecking ball, and I love, and here's a spoiler, he didn't win, but I love the way that they are booking Bronson Reed constantly in these multi-person situations where he can just wreck shit. Reed, as a perfect example, comes in and throws Kushida into O'Reilly and then hits the both of them with a double corner splash. Gut shots by Kushida, double back elbow and an enziguri. O'Reilly locks both men in submissions. One was a leg submission, one was an arm submission. I don't know what you want me to call them. It's fine. Running suplex by Reed, a senton, a headbutt, and a power slam. Superman forearm by O'Reilly, and a double rolling kick by Kushida. But Texas Teen Dream rolls in, hits the Dream Valley driver, top rope splash by Reed, and Reed eliminates Kushida. Please do not tell me that we're branching this off into Velveteen Dream versus Kushida at a takeover, because fucker doesn't deserve to be at a takeover. Moving on. Enter Thatcher as we come to... This is where the commercial break really sort of fucked us over, because Thatcher's introductory 4 minutes was basically taken up with a commercial break. Because Thatcher enters, we immediately go to a commercial break, we come back, we see Reed, O'Reilly, and Thatcher all trading strikes in sort of like a three-way brawl thing as Grimes comes in. And I get it. A lot of people think Grimes is fun. I'll say about this the same thing I said about the ladder match a little while ago. A lot of people think Grimes is a lot of fun. If Grimes had won here, I would have said, you guys have your fun. I'm happy for you. It wouldn't have pissed me off, but I would have been like, okay, I'm checking out a little bit. I get that it's like I say about everybody that I don't like. I get that he's a great athlete. I get that he has an act that speaks to some people, and kudos to him for that, genuinely. And I'm not being sarcastic, but it's not my jam. If I want to come up with another really lame expression. Moonsault press by Grimes, a PK on the apron and a super kick. Avalanche by Reed, followed by a lariat. Side slam by Grimes. O'Reilly and Thatcher trade some shots on the apron. Boot by Grimes and a knee by O'Reilly. Reed tosses Grimes at O'Reilly and Thatcher because that's what Reed does. Death Valley driver by Reed looks a little bit terrifying. Modified jackknife powerbomb. Grimes rakes the face, and then... with all three other competitors on the outside, Bronson Reed hits a suicide dive on all three of them. And that is terrifying. Bronson Reed, suicide dive. Those are 4 words that should not go together. That sends us into the next commercial break. Grimes and Thatcher double team Reed with knee strikes as we come back, and Reed slams Thatcher onto Grimes for his trouble. Knee drop by O'Reilly, and Reed is eliminated. Ankle lock by O'Reilly. And I cannot read my own writing to save my life. Ankle lock by O'Reilly, but when everybody gets back up, he trades forearms with Thatcher. Belly to belly by Thatcher. More strikes by O'Reilly. Sleeper by Thatcher on O'Reilly. Ankle lock by Grimes. Ankle lock on Grimes, I should say. Series of kicks by O'Reilly. Corner shots and corner forearms. Matchbook pin by O'Reilly. Pretty much out of nowhere. Eliminates Thatcher. I don't know what they're doing with Thatcher, but it's not working. Boot by Grimes. Battle of the forearm. These guys smash each other in the face for so long with this forearm shot after forearm shot after forearm shot. And the thing is, every time they hit a forearm, you got 2 great guys finishing out this match. You got Grimes, who's great in his role, and you got O'Reilly, who just looks a little bit unhuman when he gets really hyped up, and they just smash each other in the face like forever. Scissor kick by O'Reilly, a high knee, a dragon whip, the cave-in misses, and O'Reilly he's on the ground, but he manages to reach up with his legs and lock in Grimes' leg into, I'm going to call it a leg lace submission. They called it something else that I don't remember, if I'm quite honest with you. And O'Reilly gets the win. Kyle O'Reilly, who's a little bit insane looking all the time, has an NXT World title match against Finn Balor on paper. I know it's not a pay-per-view, it's a WWE Network special, whatever. O'Reilly has an NXT Championship match against Balor at TakeOver. That's fucking amazing. The era come out to celebrate. Even Balor comes out to the rampway, but it's not the typical, like, okay, you're my number 1 contender, so I'm gonna stare you down and we're gonna growl at each other like the cliche does go between wrestlers at some point. He just sort of, he's almost like, he doesn't nod, but he's got the facial expression that would sort of go with a nod. That's like, oh, okay, all right. And I thought something was going to happen. I thought either somebody else was going to jump him, or I thought this was going to be the minute that the rest of Undisputed Era turn on him. Those didn't happen. He's just celebrating with his boys. Balor's like, okay, so that's what I've got on my plate next. And it was just sort of, it's very fast table setting. And as I said at the beginning, and I'll say it again now, they're throwing this takeover together in like 3 weeks. But I don't care when you look at what we're getting out of it, when you see what people who weren't getting anything before are getting out of it. First of all, we got Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai, which is going to tear my heart in half. That's fine. We got the Garganos in a mixed tag match versus Io Shirai and Damian Priest, which I'm sure is just going to be ridiculous. We've got the Undisputed Era, which, I mean, that's going to be fish and strong, isn't it? Because Adam Cole's not going to be in a tag title match. Or is he? The winner of that match is going to go on to TakeOver. So let's look at the TakeOver that we have right now. Now, I'm really, really, really hoping that we're not getting Kushida versus Velveteen Dream. Nothing against Kushida. Put Kushida on the card in a match with anybody. Get somebody from the PC that we don't even know. He can have a match with Kushida on the thing. Why? Like, we're all saying, why is Velveteen Dream on our TVs at all? So we should definitely be saying, why is Velveteen Dream on our pay-per-views? Should we not? At least he's not in a title situation this time. Anyways, but we're probably finally getting Swerve versus Escobar for the Cruiserweight Championship. To which I say, put it on the fucking card, don't put it on the kickoff. And yes, that goes against what I said about Asuka and Zelina Vega, because guess what? They're different scenarios. Oh yes. Perfect situation would be throw that belt on Swerve, then you have the return of Devlin, have Devlin versus Swerve for the undisputed, or sorry, yes, actually, undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Championship. That would be fucking boss. We've got at TakeOver, Breezango versus either the Undisputed Era or Birch and Lorcan. Either one of those are fine options. We've got Gargano versus Priest, which people are crying about, but they're totally fine with Kingston versus Moxley for reasons tonight on regular TV to pop a rating probably. Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, which is a rematch from TakeOver Toronto, which was fucking awesome. The roles are reversed. That makes it even more fun. Johnny's probably going to be on the outside being a dick. It'll be wonderful. And O'Reilly ascends to main event status to fight for the world title of NXT against Finn fucking Balor. So tell me why it's wrong. Other than, you know, it wasn't booked like 3 years ago by Kenny Omega in somebody's basement. That's all I got. That's all I got for people that are looking at a card like this and still like wanting to fabricate reasons to not like it. I gotta, that's what you get. That's all you get. This show was great. Next week's show is going to be great. This pay-per-view is going to be great. And you guys should give NXT UK a shot. That's what I'm going to finish with. That's what I'm going to finish with tonight. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging the fuck out. Bye, guys. So